Om Shanti. Today Avkyat Murli, 27/12/1987. Signs of the victorious jewels whose intellects have faith. Today, Bab Dada is looking at his victorious children everywhere whose intellects have faith. He is looking at the signs of faith in every child. The main signs of faith are: first, as is your faith, accordingly the spiritual intoxication will be visible in your actions and words and on your face at every moment. Second, you will easily experience victory in your every action and thought in a practical way. You will experience victory not in some form of effort but in the form of visible fruit and a right. Third, there won't be even 1% doubt, even in your thoughts, in your elevated fortune, in your elevated life, in the Father, or in your connections and relationships with the family. Fourth, all questions marks will have finished and you will have become a point who puts a full stop in every situation. Fifth, when your intellect has faith, you will easily and automatically experience yourselves to be a carefree empire at every moment. That is, you will not repeatedly have to make effort to bring that awareness. You won't have to labor to say, I am an empire, but you will be constantly stable on the elevated seat of your throne. In worldly life, your stage is created according to the situation, whether it is a stage of happiness or sorrow. You automatically stay in the experience of that stage. You don't repeatedly have to remind yourself, I am happy or I am unhappy. You easily and naturally experience the stage of being a carefree empire. In worldly life, your stage is created according to the situation. But in this powerful alaukic Brahman life, your stage is not created according to the situation. For you have the elevated stage of a carefree empire. Through receiving the light and might of knowledge from Bab Dada and from the power of remembrance, you would refer to this as receiving the inheritance of the powers of knowledge and yoga from the Father. In Brahman life, you attain your stage through the inheritance from the Father, through the blessings from the Satguru and the elevated fortune you receive from the bestower of fortune. If your stage is based on the situation, then who is more powerful? The situation would be more powerful, would it not? Those who create their stage on their basis of the situation can never become unshakable and immovable. In a life without knowledge, 1 minute they are dancing with a lot of happiness, and the next minute they are sleeping on their stomachs. In alaukic life, you don't have a stage of such fluctuation. You are not dependent on the situation, but on the basis of your inheritance, blessings, and your elevated stage, you transform the situation. So, because of this, one whose intellects have faith in is always a carefree empire. Baba said, you worry when something is lacking or something is missing. But if you are an embodiment of all attainments, if you are a master almighty authority, what is there to worry about? Right? Sixth, when your intellect has faith, you always surrender to the Father. To surrender means to surrender completely, to surrender every trace and progeny, whether it is the progeny of vices that brings you into body consciousness, the progeny of bodily relation, or the progeny of a desire for the temporary things associated with the body. All of those things are included in the progeny. To be completely surrendered and to be a complete renunciated are the same thing. To surrender doesn't mean that you sit in Madhuban or at a center. To offer yourself for service is a step on the ladder, but to surrender yourself completely is the destination of the ladder. You have climbed one step of the ladder, but the sign of one whose intellect has faith, who reaches the destination, is that he would have surrendered all three progenies that Baba is saying. You now know all three things very clearly. You know, na? Do you not? All progeny ends when there isn't the slightest trace of it in your dreams or thoughts. If any trace remains, a progeny will be created. This is why the definition of a complete renunciated is extremely deep. Baba will tell you more at some other time. Seventh, one who intellect one whose intellect has faith will always be carefree and free from worry. He will experience the intoxication of guaranteed victory in every situation. Faith enables you to experience being carefree with a guarantee at every moment. 8. Such a soul will always remain intoxicated, and seeing his intoxication, others too will experience that spiritual intoxication. He will give others an experience of spiritual intoxication with help from the Father and his own stage. What would be the specialities of someone whose intellect has faith and who stays in spiritual intoxication? Firstly, to the extent that there is elevated intoxication, so he would accordingly have humility in every act of his life. Because of having the speciality of humility, he would have a creative intellect. He would pay attention to the intellect to the extent that it is humble, so it is creative. You speak of renewal, so his intellect would be one that brings about renewal. He would be creative and also humble. Where there are where there are these specialities, such as a person is called victorious because his intellect has faith, an instrument creative and humble, would what would be the language of one whose intellect has faith? To be constantly sweet in his language is a common thing for one whose intellect has faith, but he would also have generosity. Generosity means he would have the generosity to make all souls move forward. You first, not me, me. Generosity means to keep others ahead, just as Father Brahma always kept Mother Jagdamba and the children at the front. Jagdamba is clever than I am. These children are clever than I am. This is the language of generosity. Where there is generosity, where you don't have any desire to keep yourself in the front, then according to the drama, you automatically receive the fruit you desire. The more you stay in the stage of being ignorant of all desires, the more the Father and the family consider you to be worthy and keep you in the front. So, those who say you first in their minds cannot be left behind. They say you first in their minds, and so they are automatically put first by everyone. However, someone with this desire would not be. So, the language of someone whose intellect has faith is that of generosity, the language of containment, and the language of benefiting everyone. Someone with such language would be said to be victorious because his intellect has faith. All of yours intellects have faith, do they not? Because faith is the foundation. However, when the storms of situations, of Maya, of Sanskar, and the different form of nature come, you then know how strong the foundation of your faith is. In this old world, you have different types of storms, do you not? Sometimes of the wind, sometimes of the ocean. In the same way, here too, you have different type of storms. What does a storm do? It first blow you and then throws you. So here storms also first pull you to themselves with pleasure. They take you high in some temporary intoxication, because Maya also knows that you will not go to her unless there is some attainment. So she first make you fly high with artificial attainment, then she drops you down in the falling stage. She is clever. So the vision of those who intellects have faith is that of three eyes. They see the three aspects of time with their third eye, and they can therefore never be deceived. So faith is tested at the time of a storm, just as storms uproot the foundations of big old trees. So these storms of Maya also try to uproot the foundation of your faith. However, the result is that the foundation is not uprooted that much, but it shakes a lot. The foundation even becomes weak because of being shaken. So at such a time, check the foundation of your faith. If you ask anyone if they have firm faith, what would they say? They would give you a very good lecture. It is good to have faith. However, if at such time your faith shakes, then for it to shake means that you are also shaken from your reward for birth after birth. Therefore, check at the time of storms when someone doesn't give you some limited name or regard, or when the storms of Maya come in the form of wasteful thoughts, when the desire you have are not being fulfilled, then at that time, do you remember your faith of being a powerful soul of the Almighty Father? Or does the wasteful become victorious over the powerful? If the wasteful becomes victorious, then the foundation of your faith would shake. Would it not? Then instead of experiencing yourself to be powerful, you would experience yourself to be a weak soul. You would then be disheartened. This is why you are being told to check at the time of storms. Limited name and honor and the consciousness of I bring you down from spiritual pride. Any limited desire will bring you down from the faith of being completely ignorant or the knowledge of desires. So, faith does not mean I am not a body but a soul, but what type of soul I am. To experience that intoxication and self respect at that time is called being victorious because the intellect has faith. If someone doesn't take a paper but says that he has passed with honors, would anyone believe him? A certificate a certificate is required no matter with how many marks someone passes or if he has a degree. Until he receives his certificate, there is no value. When you take the test paper at the time of the paper and you pass it and receive the certificate from the father and the family, you can then be called victorious through having faith in the intellect. Do you understand? So, continue to check your foundation. You heard the speciality of having an intellect with faith, did you not? Baba is asking. Did you not? Let the spiritual intoxication according to the time be visible in your life. Just let it not be just your mind that is pleased, but people should also be pleased. Let everyone experience you as being a soul who's remain intoxicated. Do not just be one who is liked by yourself, but also be liked by people and by Father. This is what it is to be victorious. Acha, to all the victorious girls whose intellects have faith, to all the carefree children who are free from worry, to the spiritual souls who stay in the intoxication of having guaranteed victory, to all the spatial souls who go beyond all storms and experience them to be a gift, to the children whose intellects have faith and who remain constantly unshakable, immovable, and stable in a constant stage. Bab Dada's love, remembrance, and namaste. Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you so much.